Our sponsors today are Jeannie Spyro of GenieSpyro.com and Brian Rivera of Winty Aviation T-shirt art at Winty.com. Jeannie Spyro of GenieSpyro.com presents the Feminine Reinvention from Day Job to Dream Business Telesummit, April 1st through April 16th. Dreaming of quitting your corporate job? Already left the 9-to-5 grind to start your own business? Join 11 former corporate women as they share what it takes to create a 6- or 7-figure solo business. Register for this free event today by visiting www.femininereinvention.com. Hello everyone, good afternoon and welcome to Savvy Central Radio. Our guest today is Chelsea Abingdon Welch. Abingdon followed her dreams and purpose from getting her private pilot license, becoming a certified flight instructor, and even starring in the hit TV reality show Flying Wild Alaska. Pilot and company founder Chelsea Abingdon Welch listened to her colleagues repeatedly express their desire for a fully functional aviator watch that is fashionable, versatile, and most importantly, made for women. In that moment, Abingdon decided to form the first company dedicated to developing top-quality, realistically priced watches to meet the needs of female pilots, mechanics, and adventurous women all over the world. To find out more, go to their website at www.theabingdonco.com. Hi, Abingdon. Thanks for coming on Savvy Central Radio today. How are you?
I'm doing great, Christina. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. I'm so excited that you're on today. And you have such a fascinating story and journey. I'd love if you could tell our audience a little bit about how the Abingdon Company came to be and your whole story that led up to it.
Sure, absolutely. I founded the Abingdon Company in 2007 is when we launched. I actually had the idea in 2006. I was flight training, learning to be a pilot, and I looked at all my instructors who had these amazing watches, and most of my instructors were men. So there were these big, bulky, black-brown watches that did all sorts of things. They converted currency, they calculated time, speed, and distance, they did multiplication, division, had multiple time zones, all sorts of cool stuff. And I was like, well, I want one too. So I went around trying to find one that was made for women, and there was nothing in 2006. So after a year of planning, I launched the Abingdon Company on my birthday, November 3rd, 2007. And just celebrated our 5th year last year in 2012, and we are just rocking it. We're having a fantastic time and building watches for women that love to travel and love to fly, and you don't need to be a pilot to love one of these. We've got tons of customers who they've never set foot in a small airplane or have any dreams of becoming a pilot, and yet they love these because of all the different features and functionality of them.
Yeah, and tell the audience a little bit about some of the functions that the watches included. I love them. They come in some pink and white, and I myself find aviation watches to be super cool, but my little wrist on the men watches look ridiculous, so it's awesome that there are female watches that look really awesome and cool. Can you tell us a little bit more about them?
Absolutely. We took a slide ruler, it's a calculator of sorts that doesn't require any batteries. It's the old calculators from way back in the day before calculators were even invented, electronic calculators. And so what we did is we put them around the bezel, around the round part of the watch. And what they'll do is they'll convert, like I said, currency. They'll convert currency. So if you're traveling in Europe and you want to know, well, how many euros does this meal cost? You could use your watch. If you were racing down the Autobahn, it will do statute miles to kilometers. It'll do liters to gallons. So when you're buying petrol in England, where they sell it in liters, you can convert liters to gallons and find out how much gas you were buying. It'll do it for all over the world. It'll convert the metric system to the standard system, and vice versa. Multiplication, division, time, speed, and distance calculations, fuel consumption calculations. They'll have multiple time zones. You name it. It pretty much does it except for cooking dinner. And and then it's at the same time it's beautiful. I mean, it's genuine mother of pearl face. There's super luminova hands and hour markings, so they do light up in the dark very nicely. It comes in genuine. You can get genuine leather, croco, lizard straps, buckles. The stainless steel is surgical grade, so it doesn't have any allergies to it. Doesn't cause allergies to come out. So it's all very, very high quality stuff. Anything that's gold is 24 karat plated. So it's just super high quality, absolutely beautiful. Attention to detail is just immaculate.
And I also love the price point. It's not outrageous. Some of the flight watches I've seen for men are like $5,000 and
Oh yeah, no, we keep these, we call it affordable luxury. So the most you're going to spend on a watch, unless you wanted real stones, for everything that we sell is going to be $479 is our highest price model.
that's an awesome price point.
Yeah.
And tell the audience if they'd like to check out some of the wonderful watches and purchase them, where they can go and look for them.
You can go to our website, which is www.theabingdonco.com, and that's spelled, I'll spell it to you like a pilot, T Tango, H Hotel, E Echo, A Alpha, B Bravo, I India, N November, G Golf, D Delta, O Oscar, N November, C Charlie, O Oscar.com. And if you're a fan on Facebook, we always, Facebook and Twitter, for all of our followers on Twitter too, we always post specials or fan-only deals. So that's also a very, very good place to find out about all of our styles.
I was really intrigued by the fact that you're not only making these wonderful watches, that you're also a pilot. And there are so few women pilots even today. You think there'd be more, but there's only 6% of pilots are women.
Yeah, it's horrible. We want more people to fly for sure.
I know.
And actually, Christine, that statistic has not changed since the 30s when people were just starting to fly. So one of the big mantras that this company has is introducing women not only to just becoming a pilot, but to other aspects of the aviation industry, and then also to other industries where women are underrepresented. So we're huge, huge activists for getting women involved in new things and trying out new things. And we start all the way down at the girl level. So we'll introduce girls to all sorts of stuff, and we're huge promoters of that.
And that's great, because last week was just Women of Aviation Week, wasn't it?
It was, and it was a worldwide contest to introduce as many women as you possibly could to, and they actually cater it towards girls, so introducing as many girls as you possibly can to aviation. And it was a fantastic success. And I don't know if they have the numbers out for how many girls they introduced to it, but I know I did my part, and I introduced it to 7 girls who had never known anything about stepping into an airplane, and had a blast doing it. It was fun.
Yay! Well, I'm grateful for gals and guys getting new girls out there flying. A lot of my pilot friends have been bringing women up the last week, and I'm very grateful because we really need more women out there flying.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
So what would you say at this point is your greatest passion, and why propelling you forward in your business and in life?
See, my greatest passion, I would have to say, would be finding challenges and stepping out of my comfort zone. I usually tell people I get bored easily. If I'm doing the same thing over and over, I want to challenge myself to do something I've never done before. And so finding a passion and just doing something that is completely new and foreign to me, whether it's learning a new language or studying Krav Maga fighting techniques or just wanting to know how to cook. I want to know all sorts of things. I have this thirst for knowledge and for just doing things. And I'm such a kinetic learner where I have to be doing it. I can't just read a book and be like, oh, okay, I get that. I have to do it. So, when I was learning Krav Maga, I spent 3 months learning the techniques and had a fantastic time doing it. So that's really my passions. They always change because it's always something that just piques my interest. And I just want to step outside of what is comfortable and what is common to me, what is always happening in my life, and just do something totally outrageous and new.
That's awesome. I love that way of being. My mom used to tell me as a kid that I didn't have, like, I was all over the place. I'd love this for a bit and get really into it and then do this for a bit. And sometimes in our culture, we're kind of teaching people, oh, no, just stay in one thing forever. No, don't go around. Don't try different things. Just stay at one job forever or whatever. And it's nice to know that stepping out your comfort zone not only propels you to grow that much more, but it gets you to express yourself in so many different dynamics and levels.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's challenging parts of your brain that you don't use all the time, and it's great for your body. It's great for your mind. It's great for the people around you. It gives you a better perspective on different things in life. So I would encourage everybody to step out of their comfort zone at least once a month.
Yeah, great advice. As you've built this wonderful company, what have you seen has been some of your biggest challenges or hurdles you've had to face and overcome, and how did you overcome them?
I'd have to say that initially the biggest hurdle I've had to overcome, and it's continuing today when people hear about the company for the first time, is, wow, that's a really niche product.
Mm.
Like you said earlier, 6% of the industry is women. So 6% of a market is just not a very big market. And when I was first wanting to do this, of course, you need a little bit of capital to go and buy watches and to design these watches and get them manufactured. And I did not come from a watchmaking background at all. I started the company for purely selfish reasons. I just wanted a watch. And so I had to find the manufacturers and I had to pay them money to get the watches in. I had the time to do all the research and I had the drive, but I didn't have the capital. And when I was looking at finding investors, most of the investors were saying, no, this is too small of a market. This isn't going to work. It's not going to succeed. And if anybody knows anything about me, I am totally motivated by skeptics. Everything that I've ever done worthwhile in life, somebody's told me can't be done. I said, okay, great. I'm onto something good then. And what I ended up doing was I created it was a different type of financing that I approached the people that I wanted to invest in. And I said, okay, here's the deal. If you invest in me, in my company, I will promise to pay you back in 5 years, and I will pay you 150% of what you gave me. So if you gave me $1,000, then I would give you $1,500 at the end of 5 years. But the catch is you cannot ask me for the money before 5 years. I need to use that 5 years to build the business. And on top of that, if the business does fail, you have my backing as well. So I will work it off to pay you back in 5 years. So I put my own person and said I would personally get another job in order to pay it back if the company didn't succeed. Well, the company succeeded, everybody was paid back, and now we're, moving on ahead and introducing new products and building the company. And it's still, yes, a niche, but niches work. If you're doing the same thing that everybody else is doing, how are you going to stand out? Mm-hmm. You have to do something that's different.
And with that said, if you are going to have a product, service, or information that other people are also doing, you have to do it in a way that makes you unique and that people want to use you. You are the go-to person for that particular thing. And the thing you mentioned about niche, Abingdon, the thing is 6% of the market. If everyone bought a watch, 6% of the people, that would be a heck of a lot of money for your company. So 6% is nothing to sneeze at.
No, not at all. But, an industry like aviation that not a lot of people are members of, and it's kind of a unique thing. You might know one or two pilots in your life. Mm-hmm. And of course, you and I you're a student pilot and you're learning to fly, and I've been flying now since 2006. Of course, we come across so many more pilots now that we're kind of in that world. Mm-hmm. But most people, they only maybe know one pilot, or maybe their uncle flies, or maybe somebody at work, like their dad flies or something like that. It's not a very common vocation. And so to meet a woman pilot, I mean, every time I meet somebody and I tell them, oh yeah, I flew here on my own, or, that I fly and that I teach people how to fly and that I ferry airplanes around the world, they're like, all right, what? What did you just say? And I was like, well, yeah, breaking stereotypes every day, miss. So it's it's a neat thing. And one of the nice things about the Abingdon Company is it is not just for pilots. And I was trying to explain that when I was looking for investors, that this is something for women that travel, and women are traveling so much more in business, in life, to see family, just for fun. So why wouldn't you want a watch or something on your wrist that didn't convert currency? You can pull out your phone and do that on your smartphone, but you run the risk of roaming if you're abroad, or running out of battery, or finding it at the bottom of your bag, or whatever else it is.
Hmm.
Here, you just have it right there. Done.
Yeah, awesome. Very convenient. And I was really, really impressed not only with your model for financing, which was incredible. I wish I had thought of it when I was starting my business. But I was also really intrigued when you told me about early on in college how you took a sales job and what the motivation and the determination and tenacity, which you also applied then later to the Abingdon Company. I found that truly amazing.
Oh, absolutely. The job I took in college is set the stage. It kind of paved the way for why I want to do business, why I want to be an entrepreneur, and why I want to continue creating things and run my company. I took a job with a company called Southwestern that basically took a bunch of college kids from the West Coast, sent them to the East Coast, and then a bunch of kids from the East Coast sent them to the West Coast to do 80 to 90 hours a week of door-to-door selling. And that does not sound like the most appealing job for a college student who wants to sleep until 10 every day. But the rewards were amazing. The skills that you learned were outside of any job that I've ever had since, bar, running my own company. Every job that I took after college, there was nothing fulfilling like what this job taught me. And everybody in college, when I told them, yeah, I'm going to go over to Iowa, live there for 3 months in the summer and go sell books door to door in an area that I've never been to, they all looked at me like I was insane. And even one of my friends was like, well, if something happens, you let me know. I'll buy you a plane ticket back home. And I was like, no, I don't, I think I'll be okay. They're teaching me all the skills I need to know. It's not like they're just dropping me off out of a van. It's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. And everybody thought I was insane.
But I love the tenacity of that story and the fact that I think it built up your armor for, putting a company together, because there had to be a lot of rejections along the way, and you have to be strong and just go through it and say, okay, it's not personal. This is business. Just go on to the next one.
Exactly. It's exactly what it did.
It's great. And so what would you say along your journey have been some of the greatest role models that have really pushed you forward?
I have right now 2 role models. One of them, a lot of people, they associate with me, is Ariel Tweedo. I look up to her all the time because outside of the TV show that we were both on Flying Wild Alaska, we've remained friends, and we've remained very good friends. And I see that girl working non-stop. And it is incredible how in front of the camera, she is such a bubbly personality that has such a carefree life, which she really does. I mean, she totally lives the character that she plays on the reality show on Discovery, on the Flying Wild Alaska show. But when she's off the camera, she's constantly networking, constantly trying to get new gigs, trying to just get more work. She wants to make it in Hollywood, and she's doing a fantastic job. I mean, every time I talk to her, whenever I'm in LA, I'll hit her up and say, hey, you in town? And she's like, oh, I've got to meet this producer at 10 tonight, and then I've got to go to this meeting here, and I won't be home until about midnight, but you want to grab a cup of coffee or something. And it's like, and then in the morning, she's doing the same thing. It's 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. So I don't see anybody work that hard a lot of the time. And it's so refreshing to see her just killing it. She's doing such a great job. So I always want to see if I can outwork her, which usually she wins. And it's very cool. She's a fantastic role model right now.
I love her. She's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And she inspired me on the show. A lot of people that were watching the show, a bunch of pilots and I were watching it, and they were like, oh, she's such a goofball. She'll never become a pilot. Duh. And I was like, no. I mean, just because you're joyful, and that's what I saw and I loved most about her, is her pure, absolute joy in life. Like, she lives it to the fullest, but she doesn't waste any time in life. She lives it to the fullest, and every single moment she's being something, doing something. And, as you know, she got her pilot license. Woohoo!
Yeah, absolutely.
Very happy for her.
She rocked it. And she's the one who brought me onto the show. And when I was training her, a lot of people, they don't give her enough credit that they should. And I'll tell you something that a lot of people don't know, but her check ride as a flight instructor, usually when you sign off a private pilot student, they go for a check ride and it's like, I don't know, a couple hours, 3 hours maybe. You're about an hour and a half on the ground and going over things with the examiner and showing them what you know. And then they take you for a flight for about another hour and a half. And if you do great, you have your pilot's license. And if you don't do great, then you have to redo the test. Mm-hmm. And for her examiner had to fly out from Anchorage from the FAA. It was an FAA rep, and she couldn't just go up with a typical examiner like most private pilots do. Nobody goes up for a private pilot check ride with the FAA. I've never heard of it before. I've never signed off a student for that before. I've never even heard of another instructor that I know that signed off a student to go up with the FAA for a private pilot. She did that. And the reason she had to do it is because it was the only person in Alaska that was qualified to fly a glass panel, which was the type of airplane that she had to do a ride in. So the FAA flew out, and this lady from the FAA usually does airline pilot checks. Wow. So very, very knowledgeable. And she basically went through the entire test standards booklet with Ariel, which was about 3.5 to 4 hours on the ground and 3 hours in the air. So she had a 7-hour check ride.
Oh my God.
For a private pilot. Like, that doesn't happen. And afterwards, the inspector, she brought the FAA inspector and Ariel and she brought us both in and kind of debriefed us on the whole ride and said that was hands down one of the best check rides I've ever done. So to give you kind of, an idea of how well Ariel can fly, that's pretty darn good.
Kudos, Ariel. Awesome.
Right? Go girl.
She's such an inspiration. So that is one of your inspiration. I can totally see why. Who is the other person you mentioned?
The other person that I just recently discovered is Marie Forleo. And she is, where do I begin with her?
Amazing.
I know. What she does, you have to look up this woman, Marie Forleo, and she basically teaches women how to run businesses from the internet and how to market and how to capture audiences and how to make it personal. Mm-hmm. And with our business, since I don't have a storefront for the Abingdon Co, it's not like you can knock on the door and say, oh, I'd like to come see your watches. Our storefront is the website, theabingdonco.com. So I want to drive as much traffic to theabingdonco.com. And what she teaches is how you can get that traffic. And she's a life coach. She is huge on entrepreneurial women. Mm-hmm. And I mean, she was on Oprah. She was all over the place for a while. And and for good reason. I mean, what she has to say, when I listened to a video that somebody sent me, I just listened to her and it was like, she was inside my mind. She knew exactly what I wanted to do, where I wanted to take my company, and how to do it. So anybody who's looking to run a business or grow their business and take it to the next level, I highly suggest looking into her. Marie Forleo, she's awesome.
She is. And what I love most about her is her unique brand of getting it out, because I've been checking out her videos for over a year now. And she doesn't just say the proper information, because I've heard other people say some of the stuff she's saying, but the way in which she does it, she's completely and totally off the wall, unique and amazing. And everyone, Forleo is Forleo. So marieforleo.com. She's amazing. Check her out. And so you're going to go to her business school, right? She's having?
Yes, I do plan on going to her business school. I think they just closed applications just last week or the week before. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to wait until the next one. But for sure, that's on my bucket list.
Awesome. Well, yeah, congrats on that. She will definitely help you out, I'm sure.
Oh, definitely. I'm looking forward to it.
What would you say up to this very moment would be your greatest achievement or successes you've completed so far in your personal life and in your business?
Oh, gosh. That's such a big question. I would have to say that probably balancing the two. I live and play all day long, every day. And what I mean by that is I love what I do for work and I work all the time. So yes, I'm a workaholic, but I'm also a playaholic because it's both all the time. And I thoroughly enjoy not having a schedule every day and just being completely, every day I wake up, I'm not only, and this sounds really strange, but I'll explain it in a second, I'm not only unemployed, but I've got a completely wide open day, so I can do whatever I want. Now, I'm unemployed in that if I disappeared, who would run the business?
Mhm.
And so I have to continue to work to write my own paycheck. And my paycheck, Christina, is not very big. If you think that owning a business is going to bring in the riches, that's not going to happen for a while. And you have to realize that your work you're going to be underpaid, what you consider underpaid, for many years going into business. This is not a get-rich scheme thing, trying to start your own business. What it does do is it does allow you the freedom to do other things and to more or less write your own schedule on a day-to-day basis. But it also means that you are probably going to be working 80 to 90 hours a week. And I'll tell you right now, I just started writing my own paycheck 3 years into my business.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I was working on it for free and just trying to get it to grow. And truly, I don't get paid a lot at all. My paychecks every month are about $1,000, if that,
Mm-hmm.
and that's in a good month. So this is not something that people should be doing in order to get rich fast. But I will tell you that what this has allowed me to do is so much more and so fulfilling in my life. Just hanging out with friends and designing watches, or being on Facebook and talking with the fans of the company and the fans of my designs, and having them give me design ideas. This is what I do, and I love it. Anybody that works with us here, encouraged to spend time on Facebook, spend time on Twitter, get the word out, market it yourself, have a good time, and just enjoy what you're doing. If you don't, as my dad taught me, if you enjoy what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Mm.
And that is such good advice. And so when I went full-time with the company back in 2010, I haven't worked a day in my life since then.
I love
and
it.
I love it.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it. And I totally agree with what you're saying. I started my business, and some people that know me thought I was a little off the wall for starting it. Because for one, I didn't have a clear plan like you did. I knew that corporate wasn't working for me, and I knew I had talents inside. I didn't know how to execute them into a business.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, what do I do? What do I do going forward? So I started with what I was doing in corporate and made it into a consulting business.
Mm.
But what I've learned in the past year and a half, how I've grown as a person and in business, I've learned things I would have never learned in corporate.
Yeah.
It's just made me grow exponentially, and it's worth more than its price in gold and all the paychecks you can possibly get.
Absolutely.
Yes, I can totally see what you're talking about. But it's a good point that you mentioned there, that if anyone's thinking, I'm going to start a business, making millions by the end of the year, it's not likely.
Not happening. It's not going to happen.
Exactly. So from your experience working in your own business and seeing other business owners as well, what would you say is the biggest mistakes small business owners make, and how could they avoid some of these pitfalls?
I would say that the biggest mistake I've seen, and I'm completely at fault for it, is trying to do everything yourself. And it's difficult for us business starters, and when we have this idea that, okay, I want to start a watch company and I want it to do this, this, and this, then since it's in your head, you're the best one that can do it. And that's not necessarily the case. You may be the best person, but it doesn't mean that it's a job that requires that. And what I mean by that is, when I started the Abingdon Company and I was packing up watches for customers, for the first 2 years, I basically handled every single watch that went out to a customer. I would inspect it, I would pack it up, I would put it in its box, put the peanuts around it, go to the post office, put the label on it, and ship it off to the customer directly. That is a lot of time to be spending on a task that is not necessarily the best use of my time. I should be marketing the company, trying to grow it, seeing other stores to get the watches into, or interacting and seeing what's happening with reviews online and with the fan page, and with going to trade shows and going to other stores to have them take the product and sell it themselves. Me sitting there and spending an average of 15 to 20 minutes per watch to get to a customer, when you have 300 customers in the first year for 2 years, that's a lot of time that can be spent elsewhere. And I think a lot of business owners, when they start up a business, they're doing every single thing themselves, from the accounting, from, ordering a program like QuickBooks and inputting in every single customer or every single job that they have, to the mundane tasks, the things that they shouldn't be spending time on. Outsource your accounting. You have a CPA that can do your taxes anyway. And if you're setting up a business, you're probably looking into sole proprietorship or C Corp, S Corp, LLC, whatever entity you want to start up. So you're going to have a CPA that's going to be doing the taxes and helping you out with that. Have them do your bookkeeping, outsource your bookkeeping somewhere else. Have somebody else do that kind of stuff, unless you're have a real passion for numbers. I'm not very good at numbers. So I have somebody else input all the customer information into the company files and manage that. Now I have an entire distribution center in Ohio that sends out packages and packages them up to customers. So I'm able to focus on building the business so that they're working more, so that my accountant's working more. Those people have taken tasks off of my plate, and it's saving me a lot of time, and it's letting me focus on the quality of the company.
Mm-hmm. And getting new clients.
And getting new clients. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you, what have you found to be the biggest challenge running a business? Like, is there an aspect like marketing or sales or any other aspect that you're not comfortable with? But you just told me it's probably accounting.
Accounting is not my favorite at all. I can do it though. Like I understand it. I know how to read a profit and loss or a balance sheet, but it's not my favorite at all. And I'd probably say the most difficult for me is maintaining a really good relationship with all of the stores that carry the brand, because I like to be on a one-on-one basis. I love to go and travel to every single store. And there's a store in South Africa, and we have a great relationship, but I've never been to it. And so I would like to do that, because these guys are the ones that are working for me. They're selling the brand. And so I'd love to maintain a better relationship with them. And then I want to read every email that a customer writes in, or that somebody who's inquiring about the product or the brand writes in about. And the emails I don't have enough hours in the day to do that. So those two things, if I could change what my own tasks were on a daily basis, that's two of the things I would like to change.
And that's one thing I don't think a lot of people, customer or business owner alike, realize how much time and effort go into each little piece. Mm-hmm. I know before I started out, I didn't realize how much I would have to work on marketing in the beginning, which I think is probably more in the beginning when no one knows you at all, and sales and accounting. And you made a good point that whatever you're not knowledgeable on or good at, instead of wasting your time do it, hand it off to someone who's an expert in it so you can focus on the parts you are good at.
Exactly.
Yeah, wonderful advice. So what are some of your goals that you're striving for the Abingdon Company in the next year?
In the next year, I'd love to come out with another watch model by the end of this year. We have 3 main models, the Jackie, Amelia, and Elise. And they come in a multitude of styles. So pretty much any of our watch bands you can match with any of the watches, which just gives you an unlimited amount of options. We are releasing a new jewelry line. Very excited about it. It's called the Paper Airplane series. And it's...
Oh, I'm so looking forward to that. I love jewelry.
And these are amazing. It's a set of paper airplanes. We all grew up with paper airplanes as a kid. And so this is a set of necklaces and earrings in white gold or rose gold. And they are absolutely stunning. And they're manufactured here in the U.S. I found a manufacturer out of New York, so I'm really excited about that. Our watch bands are also manufactured in the U.S. in Florida. So very excited about that. And we released them over the holiday season last year. So you can check them out. They're called the Heavenly Band series. And they all come in a gorgeous array of pastels. But one of my biggest passions is to create more watches for more women in underrepresented industries. So I'd love to come out with like a racing watch, a NASCAR watch, or a Formula One watch, or a mixed martial arts fighting. Women are starting to come up in that world too. So I'd love to create a fighting watch, a base jumping watch, sailing watch. I mean, there's so many different extreme activities that women are doing, and they're doing more of, but they're still quite the minority.
Mhm.
I would love to come out with watches for all of them as well. And anybody that does, that is a part of any of those extreme sports, please email me. Just go to the contact info page. I'd love to start designing watches with you. So I would be super excited to talk with anybody who participates in any kind of extreme activity like that, so we can start designing some watches.
Yeah, so everyone go to the Abingdon Co, which is the, and then Abingdon, which is ABINGDON.com. And please send them your information, any ideas you have, look at their wonderful watches. And before we wrap up today, I didn't ask you, I think this would be fascinating to the audience, what drew you to flying in particular? As you said, there aren't too many women pilots. What drew you to wanting to learn to fly?
That's a very good question. I heard about flying. Well, to give you a little bit of a background of me first, I was born in England, and I was born of a British father and a Mexican mother, and I was raised in Los Angeles, in Burbank. And I came from a very multicultural family, and so I was always traveling. And I mean, for breakfast, it was, a spot of tea and biscuit and chorizo for breakfast. So it was quite a dichotomy. But when I heard about flying, I was 14. Nobody in my family flies. It's not like I grew up with a dad that flew or anything. And I went to this career services lunch at my high school, and they had these every Wednesday. They'd give you free food, and somebody would come in and talk about what they did for a living. Well, most of us just went for the free food, and that's why I was going. And in walk two pilots. I was the only girl there. I didn't know what the subject was, figured it was like construction, and then in walk these two pilots from Burbank Airport. And they started talking about how you can get paid to travel. You don't necessarily need to join the military to learn how to fly. You can go to like a vocational school at a local airport. You don't have to work for the airlines afterwards either. That's not the only job that pilots do. They ferry airplanes, or they'll fly celebrities around, or they'll do traffic watch in the morning, or they'll tow banners over stadiums and beaches. There's a whole world of things that you can do. And I was just thinking, wait a second, I can actually get paid to travel. Like that's a job. And not only that, but I'm just flying myself. Like, that's part of the job, is me transporting myself. It's not like sitting on an airplane and passing out and waking up in a new city and going to a meeting. My job is flying. And so I was hooked. I think I was 14. I took my first lesson in 2006. So I was 7 years later. Yep. I walked onto Santa Monica Airport and haven't left since. I mean, I fly every day, at least 3 times a week.
Awesome. You're a CFI as well, CFIA and double I, or?
I am a certificated flight instructor is what CFI stands for, and I can teach instrument students, private students, commercial students, and ground instruction.
Great. If anyone wants to go up with you and learn to fly, where might they go?
Oh, gosh. Well, right now I only take one student at a time. With running the Abingdon company, I have about 4 students lined up after this last student. So I'm kind of booked, but I do only like to take one student at a time because I want to give them a dedicated instructor. If I tried to run a company and carry a whole schedule of students, it would be a disservice to the students. So I just take on one, and right now she and I are working on her instrument, and she's great. She did her private back in about 3 months ago, so we're just moving it on. It's awesome.
That is totally great. I've heard of so many flight instructors who come on board just to build hours to hopefully one day work at the majors.
Yeah.
And you can feel that they're not there for the student. And it's great that you're really devoted to that one person, one-on-one, and giving your full undivided attention.
Oh, definitely. I don't need to build hours. I have 1,500 hours. So that's not something that I'm looking to go jump onto airlines for.
Awesome. Well, before we wrap it up, is there any last words of advice you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Oh, gosh, just do what you love. It sounds like such cliche advice, and it kind of is, but it's cliche for a reason. If you don't do what you love, you're going to end up just an unhappy, person, and you'll lose your humanity. I mean, do a good service to yourself and it'll be a good service to the world.
Wonderful, wonderful advice to wrap up this wonderful time together. Thank you so much, Abingdon, for coming on today and telling us your story and your company. And everyone, please go to the Abingdon Company. Check out their wonderful watches. They're incredible. I'm hoping soon to get my own. And thank you. Thank you so much for coming on Savvy Central Radio.
Absolutely, Christina. Had a fantastic time.
Winty is an aviation-themed t-shirt business designing and printing aviation-related graphics for pilots, aviation businesses, and aviation enthusiasts worldwide. Using DTG, direct-to-garment printing technology, Winty can print 1 or 100 plus garments upon request within a reasonably low turnaround time, including customer-submitted graphics. Contact Winty Aviation T-Shirt Art by visiting winty.com today in order to find out how a custom aviation graphic can be printed for you. Join us for our first broadcast in April 1st, where our guest will be Janet Roper of Talk to the Animals.